So there are going to be 3 guys that Joe and I technically probably could be up to 6, but there are going to be around 6 guys that we're going to mention here that we think are the top defensive transfers that have happened in this offseason so far. My good man, your thoughts. Who is your number 1 and your biggest defensive transfer this year in college football?
My number 1, and I was trying to come up with guys that I think that are going to have the most impact for their teams. LSU secondary has been really inconsistent over the past couple of years. And I have said this, that I'm a very big fan of Mansour DeLeone. I watched him in the preseason. I evaluated him as a draft prospect for the upcoming draft. He did not declare. He entered the transfer portal. He's got the goods to be a first-round pick. If you're looking for a player who fills a need in a year where their team needs to make a statement, I think that Mansour DeLeone leads that discussion. He has to be brought up first. I don't know if you included him or not on your list, but having DeLeone in this secondary, I think, could be transformative if he plays to his potential. And if Blake Baker, who, when he was at Mizzou, had 2 really good cornerbacks, had a really good defense, but it was buoyed by their cornerback play, DeLeone is bound to have a huge season.
Yeah. I am shocked that you took an LSU person. That's my number.
Let's be clear here. This is because I'm a Mansour DeLeone fan. This
okay.
has nothing to do with you getting LSU credit.
I am perplexed, to be honest with you. In reference to him, Joe, I talked about him last week at pretty great length. Here's what I could tell you from the LSU side of things. Number 1, it's pretty simple. They are high on him. And not only that, he's come here, he's put his head down, he's gotten to work. I had to bring him up multiple times on AYS, just mainly due to the fact that it's been a big talking point for me and for others when it comes to these transfers in the DB room. They need corners really bad, more than they need anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go through it right here. LSU last year was 76 in passing yards allowed. Literally talked about this last night. What do you do at the other corner? What do you do at safety? There's a lot to rebuild there, but he can solve multiple needs for you if you need to. I like Mansour DeLeone, and Joey's going to be a day 1 starter at LSU, who used to have a lot of really good DBs. It's going to be interesting for that one. I'm going to go another DB route here.
Is it my guy, Dylan Thieneman?
It is your guy, Dylan Thieneman, the safety out of Purdue going to Oregon. Tackling physical machine, will be in the box, will make tackles in the box, is not scared for contact. Oh, by the way, he can massively cover. That was the notes I took on him today. The dude is all over the place. I mean, let's call it what it is. He is not scared to get his hands dirty. He feels like an old school guy that, like Brian Dawkins, who will tape his fingers up and not wear gloves and just be downhill 24/7 and will knock your block off. I do think that there were some concerns. It's a safety versus a slot, maybe with some more shiftier guys. But, man, you're talking about a premier safety. In a year last year where we saw that room, that position meant so much in the playoffs in critical moments, man, he's got to be the best one. I think he's the best defensive player that was on the board in the portal. I don't think that there were a lot of guys that could have the amount of impact at a place. Oregon puts their foot down, and they get a really good one, Joe, out of Purdue.
One, you mentioned this. The reason why I love him so much is that he has an aggressiveness to his play. And it's not just like he's trying to knock people's heads off. He actually doesn't even like really truly play that way. He's not afraid to take risks. As a true freshman, balls in the air, he reacts, and his first thought is, I'm going after this football. There's no hesitation. It's just go, go, go. And that's the sign of a great football player. I'd rather you make a mistake at 100 miles an hour than not try at all. The other part about this, the way that you know a safety is really, really good, when you're playing on a bad team.
And you're all over the place.
Well, that, and if you're playing a different role than what is conducive to your skill set. So they asked him to play over the top a ton. And he's not built to do that. He is built to be a box safety. I think in Oregon, he's going to be a box safety. But if you're able to be deployed as a center fielding free safety most of the time, and you're still able to find success, that's some special stuff. I think now that he's going to be around more gifted players and a more well-coached unit, that he will be set up for even more success. This is a dude who I think could even go in the first round in the upcoming draft. I love DeLeone Dynamite.
He's a tackling machine, man.
Yeah.
And listen, Oregon fans are going to hate me saying this, but I think it's somewhat reality. Down the stretch, you had a big tackling problem in the run game.
Yeah.
It was, and look, even against Boise State, I mean, I know it's Ashton Genty, but my goodness, right? Like, I mean, this guy will come in there and he'll put his head down and he'll get to work very quickly. Oh, and by the way, Joe, it's not like he hasn't done it in the same conference that you were just in against a really tough schedule. He would do it every single week. Who is your number 2 here?
Guy that I've talked very positively about often on this show, and it goes in line with the expectations of his team now performing better. Will Helt going to Clemson. I think that Will Helt is justifiably has been hyped up this offseason. Last year, he had 5 sacks on the year. He had 10 tackles for loss. Physical, big, strong kid. They needed a high floor guy like him. They needed to bring somebody in that was going to be impactful on a snap-to-snap basis. It felt like Clemson was kind of lacking that premier edge defender that we had seen them have year in and year out for Dabo Swinney teams. I think you throw Will Helt into the mix on a team that has high expectations in offense, but was really inconsistent on defense, especially how bad they were against the run. He's not going to be playing inside, but he's a pretty good run defender considering the 10 TFLs he registered.
Yeah, and it's so weird, his 10 TFLs, because I remember watching him a lot when he came on his visit to LSU. He ultimately goes to Clemson. And you know what I kept thinking about? It was never the run plays that I saw of him, though, that were not some zone, in zone read principles and stuff. Joe, he was very good, right? I mean, you could not run at him if you were a quarterback. You couldn't pull. He was correct and sound in every defensive thing that he did. You run zone at him, though. I thought that there were times where tackles were able to get their hands on him, and just because of the physical nature, things got a little bad at Purdue. I mean, listen, you were one of the worst teams for a reason. Will Helt's not that reason. Neither was DeLeone Dynamite, okay? I'm interested to see how he develops, though. If you're going to play that edge, and you're going to play some teams with speed, you're going to be able to need to lock down and contain on that edge, especially in the running game. I think that he can be special in some things that he does. He feels like a Clemson player to me.
Right.
Just a little worried in reference to the run game when things get really physical and big down situations in the running game. Outside of that, I think that he's going to be a really good one for Clemson.
Who's your next guy that you got?
I'm going to go with Patrick Payton.
Okay, so you did end up having an LSU guy. Okay.
1 guy and 12 guys that I've mentioned. Okay. I don't care where he's going to play. He just so happened to end up at LSU. Joe, I'm tired of hearing this. He's taking off. I get it. I get all that. So did Princely Yellen on a really bad football team a year ago. I feel like I'm having the same conversation with people about Princely Yellen from a season ago. That's how I feel. Look, man, I've told you this. I will continue to tell you this. I will continue to say it. There's nobody in LSU transfer portal that they have gotten that I've watched more than him. No one. I see what people see in reference to plays being taken off. I'm with you. I understand. There were times where I mark it down. Okay, what's the score? When is it? Okay, it's 37-7, and you're mad that he took off a play. Okay, sounds cute. Joe, when this dude is on and he's playing for something, I go back to the fourth quarter against Georgia Tech where he physically dominated. I go back to rivalry games when things were a little bit up there. And I'm like, dude, I don't get this. I think that there are some things that Patrick Payton has to work on. He's got to be engaged every play or his team suffers. I understand that is a big deal here. However, Joe, the pass rush stuff that he does, good Lord. The dude has the potential. I think this is high floor, low ceiling. I can see both.
You mean other way around. High ceiling, low floor.
Thank you. High ceiling, low floor. Okay. Because of the taking off of plays. But dude, when this kid is on, he's one of the best edge players in the country.
Princely Umami is a really good comparison because that was talked about a lot this past offseason. A lot of people were saying like, oh, this kid's a slacker. He doesn't care. He's just going to show up and do the same exact thing at Ole Miss. Florida fans shared that sentiment. They stunk that year when he left. I think seeing his highs when the team was good makes me feel good about what he can be. He's going to be around a unit that's going to challenge him. There's no shot that they're going to be as bad as they were, as Florida State was. If LSU underperforms and they go 8-4 again, he's still going to be engaged on a week-to-week basis. And hopefully he's going to have a defensive coordinator that's going to try and ignite him. So I agree with this pick. I'm very bullish on him as well. I think that if he has an improved season, he 1,000% could be a first-round pick, or at the very least could be an early second-round pick because he's got the bend, he's got the length, he's got underrated power for a thinner defensive end. If he bulks up a little bit more, he's going to be a great player. My last one, Blake, James Thompson Jr., who transferred from Wisconsin to Illinois. We didn't really get to talk about Illinois when we did our Big Ten predictions.
Their head coach was trolling.
I love me some Big Bird. James Thompson Jr. was another guy that I scouted in the preseason that was just really blew me away. Mm-hmm. Tall, long defensive tackle, flexible, powerful. He is potentially could be very productive against the run. I look at this Illinois team, and I know that it's really well coached defensively. They're bringing back a lot of their key important players on defense. They're bringing back a lot of important guys on offense. I actually completely forgot that James Thompson Jr. ended up at Illinois. When I was going through a list of guys that transferred, when I saw this, I immediately wrote it down. He was the first guy that I wrote down when I made this realization because it was so underreported on. If there is a defensive tackle that we're talking about at the end of the season that has a huge year, like talking about like, hey, this guy is a first rounder, early second rounder. He was one of the best defensive tackles in the country. James Thompson Jr. ended up in the right situation. This is one that I would be excited about.
Is Illinois a borderline we need to talk about playoff team?
I think that they are. I really think that they need to be taken seriously. They didn't. We gave Penn State all this. They're better than Indiana.
No, what I mean is, I don't think the national people will talk about this, and then Indiana just kept winning. If Illinois just keeps winning here, like they're not going to be a lot of Illinois headlines coming into the season.
The comparisons that were made, or that I was going to make, is at Penn State. We juiced them up for how much they're bringing back and how much talent they have coming back. Illinois got a lot that they're returning, a lot. 3-year starter with Luke Altmaier, who looked really good this past year. A ton of great defensive players, and your DC was awesome this past season. There is a lot of potential for this Illinois squad. I don't think that they should be characterized as an Indiana team. I think that they should be characterized as a top 4 Big Ten team. And if they're 9-3, they should go to the playoff.
Hold on one second. I just got a text from Lane Kiffin. Did you?
I would send 9-3 Illinois over 9-3 Ole Miss.
Hold on, Lane Kiffin just texted me. Hold on. This is from Lane Kiffin. He goes, "Wait a minute. A team that goes 9-3, they should get in the playoffs. That's interesting."
Yeah, because they'll have a more impressive resume than SEC teams.
No, he wouldn't.
Who's your last guy?
Tacario Davis, who made the leap from Arizona to Washington. Joe, want to hear an interesting stat? You can go look this up. Washington posted this, I'm pretty sure. Remember 2 years ago when you and I talked about how bad and awful that Kalen DeBoer's secondary was at Washington? Do you know where Washington ended in passing yards allowed last year?
They were number 1.
They were number 1. Jed Fish has figured something out at DB. They've gone from the 120s to number 1. And I'm just going to tell you something right now. It's not as if Washington didn't play in a better and bigger conference. And I know the Big Ten still runs the football a lot. This kid's 6'4", Joe. He's got length. He can run. I do worry about him in the running game. I've got to be honest. I mean, he's tall, lanky. I just got to be real with you. My man, I feel like I'm watching a receiver cover a receiver. Right? Like, I mean, because he's 6'4", right? Like he's a massive human being. But you know what else I see? I see guys not being able to get off the line of scrimmage either. I see physicality at the line of scrimmage where he's pushing dudes off the ball, and I'm like, After like 3 plays, people get scared of him, and then they don't realize how fast he is. Boy, what a sneaky pickup for the Huskies.
He was the last guy that like I was super geeked up about in the preseason, watching his tape. I had a first-round grade on him coming into this upcoming draft. You characterized him really well. He is tall and long, and he can move. Here's the craziest part, though. He is reunited with his running mate who played at the opposite corner when they were both at Arizona, and they're both 6'4". Ephesians Prysock. This is insane. When was the last time you saw a college football team, an NFL team, with 2 6'4" corners? That doesn't happen.
Well, and by the way, with a team that had a defensive secondary when they made the national championship game that was that god awful. And then, Joe, it's not as if they went to the top 20 or the top 10. Joe, they went to number 1. They were the best secondary in the country. The best secondary in the country.
I know you're losing Steve Belichick, but I'm just saying, like, it's going to be a no-fly zone. There's not going to be any throwing the ball.
Listen to me. I'm serious when I say this. If Belichick going from Washington to North Carolina, if that replicates on how massive, like, North Carolina jumps, baby Belichick going to get some looks from teams. It's going to start happening. Bro, you mean to tell me that this kid had the number 1 secondary at Washington and Arizona? I mean, Washington and North Carolina? Are you kidding me? I'm telling you, man, I can see the storylines now, brother. You know, bro, if On3 is going to post what kids are asking for in NIL, they'll post a baby Belichick name getting floated out there. But you're right. Dude, they got massive corners. Here's the thing, though, too, man. Bro, this Washington team, all right now.
So that's like the biggest signal for me. By the way, we're probably gonna end up saving hot seat tracker for next show. Washington to me, I think is Matt Rule distracted us. Washington to me is absolutely going to be a team that is going to be really underrated during this preseason lead up. They have the foundation and the makings of what could be a really good Big Ten team. I don't know if they're ready to like really enter the playoff conversation, but Matt Rule is a pretty quick program igniter. And Devon Williams, who was a true freshman last year, a quarterback who stepped in, contributed a little bit, showed some really nice positive signs early on of what he can be.
Yeah.
Very good athlete, very aggressive decision maker. Imagine after a singular offseason, what that team could be. I really have liked Jed Fish. I really think that Jed Fish is an awesome coach.
Kind of has that little bit of an Arizona feel to it, doesn't it?
It kind of does. I mean, that's the funniest part about this is that
he goes and gets both of his corners.
Right, he's bringing the band back together.
The band back together.
Like Arizona was, if there was a random, unexpected team that we were going to just like pick out of nowhere, it would be Washington, because Jed Fish has already done this before. If they out of nowhere are a top 10 team at the end of the season, which is crazy to throw out there, but if they're like one of the first teams out of the playoff,